What's going on, YouTube? This is Luke with Endless Entrepreneurs, just coming to you guys here on a Friday night with a top 10 of my favorite suit brands to sell on eBay. Had a ton of viewers ask lately as a follow-up to my suit tutorial to do a quick video on the brands that I love to sell, that I look for. I'm going to give a mix of home run brands and a mix of kind of the bread and butter that I find all the time. If you're new to my channel, I am a part-time eBay seller, a full-time corporate finance analyst. I build my business in my spare time, and I've got about 2,000 active listings on eBay, primarily all men's clothing. Suits and blazers and sport coats are kind of a niche that I really like to sell in. It's a decent chunk of my inventory, probably 300-ish items, and I've been selling those quite a bit for about the last 2 or 3 years. So I know I've grown my brand knowledge out quite a bit. I feel very comfortable selling that item, and I know it can be an intimidating item for a lot of new eBayers or just people who aren't familiar with all the ins and outs of them. So if you haven't watched my tutorial video and you're looking to get into suits, I encourage you to check that out in the tutorial section. Otherwise, this is going to be kind of a follow-up on just the suit brands that I look for, the ones that I find frequently, and just hopes to help you guys when you're out there looking for what to pick and what to slowly buy as you're breaking into this suits and blazers type game. So I appreciate everyone stopping in. Let's see, we got 20 watching live right now. I'm just going to check my sound real quick. Hi, Michelle. Hey, Aaron. Looks like sound is okay. So I'm going to share my screen, and the goal of this is basically going to walk through showing you some price points of what has sold on eBay, and I'm going to talk through when I've found them or when I haven't found them, or kind of all the ins and outs of that. So let me share my screen with you guys real quick. All right, we should be good to go now. So I'm going to start with the first one here is Canali. And so if you're new to researching on eBay, the best thing that you can do is type in your search bar what you're looking for. So I just said really generic, just said Canali suit. I didn't want to limit it too much. On this left-hand side are all these filters. So what I pretty much do is I look for pre-owned and sold listings. So make sure I check sold listings here. You can do sold and completed if you want to get an idea of items that ended without selling, so you can see kind of the sell-through on it. But I did sold, and then I make sure that I have pre-owned checked, which actually I don't see that I have pre-owned checked here. It doesn't even look like there's an option. Oh yeah, condition, pre-owned right there. So Canali is an Italian brand. I just want to make sure my screen share is working. It is working good. All right, so Canali is an Italian brand, and it's a pretty well-known brand. I would say it's one of the ones I learned very early on when I started selling. Kind of credit to Ronnie over on Hearts Pickers. If you haven't checked out his channel, you should. I learned a lot of my suit and blazer knowledge from him. I also learned a little bit of it from Steve Rakin, and he has like a suit and blazer guide from a couple years ago that I picked up. So kind of credit to those guys. But this is one of the very first brands I started selling pretty frequently, and I don't find it all the time, but I would say at least a couple times a month I find one, either a suit or a blazer or a sport coat. And so you can see the prices are really high here, and these are perfect material. And here's the thing, just a preface about suits in general, the material matters a ton, right? Like cashmere is always going to sell a lot better than wool. Wool still sells well, but cashmere is always going to sell like improportionally a lot better. The brand matters a ton. The style matters a ton. The pattern matters a ton. And so there's going to be a lot of different fluctuations within a brand based on those conditions, right? The style, the material, the pattern, all those things really, really matter. And you'll see a wide range of prices that are reflected because of it. But in general, most Canali suits I find that are just basic wool. And you'll see these are kind of like in the 200s as we just keep scrolling. Most of these I sell for anywhere between like $100 and $200 is my typical for a Canali suit if it doesn't have any flaws. And you can see now we're scrolling down. That might be on the kind of low end, I guess you can consider. But usually what I'll do is I'll price around like that $199 mark for just basic stuff with good patterns, and I just will take best offers anywhere down for $100 or above. I get into suits at $10 a piece. So for me, if I can get $100 for a suit or more in a decent time frame, I'm willing to take that. Even if I could have held out for maybe an extra $50, I'm willing to take a little lower of a price point to move such a high margin item like that. So as you can see down, as you keep scrolling down, they kind of drop off. My preference in suit styles is I prefer 2-button over 3-button. I prefer 3-button over double-breasted, and kind of that order. Double-breasted is definitely an older style type of suit. The 3-button is still worn, but the 2-button is kind of Yeah, sorry about that yawn, guys. The 2-button is definitely more of like a modern style and fit. So Canali is one to put in your bank there. And let me kind of show you. Let me pick some pictures here. I want to show you guys the brand tag so that it's not, so it can kind of stick in your head. That's how I do research. I always look up the brand before I go out thrifting. Let's see if they gave the tag here. Right there. So that's the pretty common tag you'll find. I've seen some variations, but this is the one that I find probably the most right there. And so it's an Italian brand. Definitely add it to your memory bank, add it to your sourcing list. If you're starting to get into suits, this is a kind of a staple that you should start to be on the lookout for. All right, moving on. This is definitely a bread and butter. Brooks Brothers. I'm sure a lot of people know it. If you don't, it's just it's a higher end dress clothing brand. We have a whole oh, sorry guys, this has been a long week. I keep yawning. We have a outlet store here in Charlotte, and there's a couple stores in the malls where I live. So I find Brooks Brothers quite a bit. These are really high priced. I normally get like 100 to 150 for my Brooks Brothers suits, give or take. Sometimes in like the high like 80s or 90s if it's not a very desirable pattern. So it just really depends. As we scroll here, you can see the different styles here, like Regent fit, and there's the Saxon, the Fitzgerald. Or actually Saxon's the wool, but there's Fitzgerald, there's the Madison 1818 line. And so all the different lines within the suits vary a ton on the price. So I'm pretty sure this is the Madison 1818 line, or at least is the 1818 tag. But it's interesting that all the different tags and styles play such a huge part in how well it sells. Let me see. Nope, so this is Makers and Merchants. Yep, 1818 Madison line. Yep. Glad I recognize that tag. But yeah, these Brooks Brothers in general, like you can't go wrong if you find a matching suit for the right price. I probably would pay up to like 15, 20 bucks for one, just because I know minimum I'm going to get $80. And for me, that's worth it. But in general, I get all my suits for 10 bucks. So it's a really easy buy decision. That Brooks Brothers tag I just showed you, it's not necessarily the most common. Let me see if I can find you guys a more common tag. This is probably going to be a more common tag. And it's interesting when I see flat lays for suits that sell well. It's hard for me to picture a suit and wearing it if I can't see it on a mannequin. But that's just my personal preference. So there's another tag. That's the Golden Fleece line. These ones are custom tailored, as you can see right there. So you can look, $220 was the asking price. It's got the surgeon cuffs. Another thing, if you're new to suits, surgeon cuffs or functional cuffs basically means that these buttons right here actually work. Whereas on a lot of suits, typically they're just kind of for show and they don't actually button or unbutton, they're just sewed on. So Brooks Brothers is another one to be on the lookout for. I'm just going to check chat here. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, Ronnie's in the chat. Ronnie, thanks for stopping in, man. Ronnie, like I said in the beginning of the video, I credit him with a lot of my suit knowledge. We have an awesome video we did. He actually came on my channel and dropped a lot of knowledge he had a while back. You should check out the interviews if you haven't yet. But he's been a wealth of information for me. He's a big reason why I learned and even started selling suits. So, all right, so Ermenegildo Zegna, and we all pronounce it differently. I probably butchered it. I'm kind of unapologetic towards butchering it. It's just the way it is. But another Italian brand, great suit to be on the lookout for. You know, these are pretty high. I don't normally, and I'd love to see Ronnie's comments in there. I'll check at the end, but I usually get like high 100s for my Ermenegildo Zegna ones. It also depends. You'll see the keyword recent in here. Let me see if I can find one. So it says recent. And what they're referring to is like a recent line of the suit versus like some of the more vintage type fits or lines. And people, when they're more recent, obviously they're newer, and B, the style is more trendy, and so they command a higher price. Versus a lot of times, what I find are the older tags or the older vintage ones, and I wouldn't even call them vintage, but probably 10 years ago isn't considered recent in the suit and trendy world. So I normally get between. There's a tag for you guys right here. This is the Trofeo line, and it's a kind of collaboration with Neiman Marcus. You can see right there. But I normally get anywhere from like 100 to 250, depending on and again, it always depends on the material and the style and the patterns. But I would say like anywhere from like 100 to 250 is kind of that typical range that I expect for this brand for a suit. So just going to keep scrolling here. Let me see if I can find, I'm sure this will have a tag for you guys. Just want to show a tag for each one just so you can kind of put that in your memory when you're out there looking. What do we got here? Oh, that's the same similar tag. There you go. So yeah, I would definitely these first three we talked about, like I find those three frequently. Like I would say once or twice a month, I'm finding one of each, maybe two of each in a suit. So it's definitely worth it to be on the lookout for these. All right, so here's Ralph Lauren. And before we even jump into Ralph Lauren, I just want to preface with there are several different lines of Ralph Lauren. You'll see some of the top stuff here is purple label and black label. I have never found a purple label suit. I have never found a black label suit, actually. I find blue label a couple times a month, and I pick that up, and it sells anywhere from like 75 to 150, depending on the material and the pattern for me, pretty consistently, and I get those for $10. I would love to find purple label. That's like the super, super high end. Usually it's Italian made. You pick it up every time if you find it. I have not personally found it. So if you have, you are very fortunate. But again, it's just kind of one of those, you don't find it very often, but it's definitely one to be on the lookout for. I also, the one that's not on here as I scroll here, and I'll show you kind of what the difference of the blue label is versus, let's see. Well, why don't we just show you the purple label? And literally when they say purple label, black label, like it's literally the label of the tag is a different color. So if you're new to Ralph Lauren or learning about it, that's pretty much how it works. Oops. So see, it's purple. Literally, that's what it means, purple label. And it's usually script, more like cursive writing. Let me see if I can find the blue label. We'll scroll down. We're probably going to have to scroll. Black label, blue label. All right, blue label is what I find frequently. And I pick it up every time for $10. I mean, it's a no-brainer for me if it's a complete suit. Let me see. So here's blue label right there. And the blue label comes in lots of variations. Sometimes it's in cursive script. Sometimes it's a little bigger label. Sometimes it says Polo Ralph Lauren, which is also another blue label. So it just depends. This one's 100% cashmere. I actually think, I'm not sure on the conversion here. So it gives you a conversion. So $64. For me, for a 100% cashmere suit, I feel like they really, really sold that cheap. Like if I had a 100% cashmere suit that was Ralph Lauren blue label, I would expect $200 or more for it. So that they definitely went on the short side of that. It looks like they auctioned it, which makes sense. But just so you know, like Ralph Lauren blue label, if you find a matching suit, definitely pick it up. The other one that I pick up a lot that is not normal that a lot of people don't is I pick up the Ralph Lauren green label, which I guess technically isn't Ralph Lauren. It's like I don't know if it's like a private label or sister label off of it. They have the rights to it. Ronnie maybe might clarify in the chat here. Let me see if he's watching. Oh, Krillin, thanks for the super chat, man. So Krillin's in the chat. He corrects me every time on Ermenegildo Zegna. Yeah, Ermenegildo Zegna. Yeah, I try my best phonetically there, Krillin. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Yeah, and Ronnie's saying he's only found 3 Ralph Lauren purple label suits in 5 years. So it's just really hard. And Ronnie's referencing the same thing with the label you find for Ermenegildo Zegna. But I do pick up the green label quite a bit if I find it. I get like anywhere from $60 to $100 for those green label suits, the Ralph Lauren ones, especially if they're a good material or a good pattern. Like Glen Plaid does really well for me if I can find a matching suit. Even the pinstripes do fine. So I pick those up, but that's because I get suits it's $9.99 for every suit, so it's worth it to pick it up. So your buy cost really will determine whether you want to pick up that low or not. This is probably one of my favorite brands is Oxford Clothes. It sells really well for me, and it always has a ton of offers and watchers when I have it up. Here's your label. I'll just give that to you real quick. I didn't know about this for a while when I was selling suits and blazers. I don't know how I didn't, but for some reason I didn't. I probably passed it up a ton. But you can see, oops, I don't know what's going on with that screen. But there's the enlargement, so you can see the logo there. And this one's a Neiman Marcus collaboration, but that's the logo I always find. That has functional sleeves, so as you can see, those buttons actually work, which makes it higher end. And this is double-breasted, which is kind of an older style for sure. But all the Oxford Clothes suits I've had have sold for well over $100 without any problems, just even the basic wool ones. And you can see that as we're scrolling down here, they're all over $100. As long as they're in really, flawless condition. I've sold some with flaws, like little wear marks or a little stain or a hole, and I've sold them for like $60 or $70. So You can see it's kind of starting to drop off as we go down here. But I love finding this brand. I've always done really well with it. All right, here is one that I have actually never found. So being transparent, I know that it's a great brand to sell. I've seen it on Ronnie's videos, on tons of other sellers' videos that do suits. I have just never found Brioni in any. I found 2 Brioni dress shirts. That's it. I've never found Brioni anything else. Sometimes you'll find Brioni in like collaboration with other brands and materials, but in either case, this is one you pick it up as a no-brainer. Like unless the buy cost is absurd, like you should pick it up. It's an Italian brand, and it just sells really, really well. Here's your tag right here. Oh, let me just keep scrolling here. I mean, I'm down halfway down the first page, and we're still well over $200 for everything. We're getting down to $199 here. You can't really lose with Brioni. And like I said, I've never found the brand in suits, blazers, or sport jackets. I hope there's a day that I do. I get so jealous watching some other people's videos. I have never found it where I am. But that is an awesome brand. You should definitely be on the lookout for. And let me just see if I can show you guys another picture here. Give you one more picture of the label if I can find it. There you go. There's another one. That's a white one. Oh, this is 100% cashmere. Yeah, so that's even better. Wow, again, that's like low price. When I see 100% cashmere, I expect for a good brand like this, I expect it to be several $100s. That's kind of low price to me. I'm just checking chat real quick. Okay. So here is another one that I have found one time, and it wasn't a suit. It was just a suit jacket. It was navy blue. It was in horrible condition. It had all sorts of iron and wear marks on it, and I still got $65 for it. No return. Buyer left positive feedback. I disclosed all the flaws. If you find this one, and I don't know if you pronounce it Kiton or Kiton, I think it's pronounced Kiton. It's so in demand. It's a high priced item. I mean, these retail for several $1,000s. And you just will do really well reselling these if you find them. Let me find you guys a tag. I see Ronnie's found these. I actually saw a haul video from Ronnie not too long ago, maybe a couple months ago, where he found a bunch of dress shirts. And I've only found this brand once in any type of clothing, and it was that beat up suit jacket. So I hope that I find it more. But there is your tag. It is an awesome tag. It's one you get excited about if you're in the thrift store and you find it. I had to do a double take when I found it in the thrift store the first time. And then I had like the massive high of like, oh, sweet, I found it. And then the massive low of, oh, this is in really bad shape. But for $4.99, I ended up picking up anyways. So definitely be on the lookout for this, guys. Kiton, Kiton. Amazing high-end home run brand for you. I had to throw in Armani in here, and there are several lines of Armani, and I am not an expert in it. I'm just going to be up front with you. I found the Armani, I think it's Collezione. I have found Giorgio Armani, and I have found, I forget the third type of one I found. I found them all in suits, and I've sold all 3 of them. You do have to be very careful of counterfeit stuff in these lines. I really encourage, I think you should pick them up. But I also think that you should really do your research up front to make sure that the tags are legit and good. Here's one of those Armani Collezione type tags right here. And it's just one of those, it's a very well-known brand. People are on the lookout for it. They're used to wearing it. It's, it's just a desirable brand, and it sells. There's your tag there. So it just really depends, though, on the material, the style, all that. It's really hard to lose on it if you're in the right buy cost for them. I don't find them frequently. I've probably sold maybe 10 suits within the 3 or 4 different lines they offer over the years. Some have been really good, $150, $200. Some have been like in the high, like 70s and 80s based on condition or whatnot. But just another one you just start to, put in your memory bank there and be on the lookout for sure. We got 2 left. I'm just going to check chat real quick, make sure we're good. Yeah, Ronnie does a really good job with estate sales. That's the one thing, like the ones around here I struggle with. A lot of times it's really musty, really like the big ones anyways, and the clothing's always in really poor shape, hard to get the smell out. Ronnie lives in a really good area for estate sales, I think, just from watching their videos for so many years. So it definitely makes a difference, but he definitely kills at the estate sales. So J.Crew is one of my favorite suit brands to sell as well. If you can find the Ludlow line right here, it's amazing. I've sold these Ludlow suit jackets for $100 by themselves. So they it's a very high in demand line within J.Crew. I've sold some other non-Ludlow line suits before, but that Ludlow one, if you find it, it's kind of the home run within it. You can see like the top of them are all Ludlow right here. See. We're scrolling down here like every single one is. So I'm just gonna keep scrolling. So you guys see, I mean, they're pretty much, regardless, they're like $100 usually if they're in good shape. I'm just gonna keep scrolling for you guys here. But yeah, it's one of those ones where I used to pass J.Crew up because I just figured it was like, I don't know, like a lot of the mall brands and things like that just don't sell that well. And so I always never gave it, I never thought twice about it. And then I found the suit jacket the one time, and I don't know, it just felt like quality. I'm like, I'll just look it up. There's another J.Crew tag. Like, I'll look it up. And I was like, holy crap. I saw the prices the suit jackets are going for, and I found like 3 of them right in a row. So I picked up all 3, and I've sold 2 of the 3. It was a couple months ago. And so now I'm always on the lookout for this brand if I can find it. And then the last one we'll finish up with here is Express. And this is another one that I used to just pass up all the time because I'm like, well, it's Express. Like, it's a mall brand, whatever. But Express suits have done well for me. I mean, I get 75 plus for them easily. And they usually sell pretty quick. Like, I think I've sold 3 pinstripe Express suits before, and all for 70, 75-ish or more, and without any issues, just basic wool suits. And, you see, you scroll down here, they're a little lower price, but if you're willing to wait for them, you will get this top price up here without a problem. They are in demand and people are looking for them. So I would keep your eyes peeled for them, and I'll show you the tag here. And by the way, I know I'm leaving off a ton of other brands. I just am talking from my personal experience. Most of these I've found with the exception of Brioni. So I wanted to give you stuff that I find and actually pick up because I think that's a value. And again, my buy cost for all my suits is $9.99. So it definitely will vary where you live. If you have sale days and your prices are really high, I urge you to use your sale days to your advantage. Suits aren't picked over as much in a lot of other areas because people are a little more intimidated to sell them. So a lot of times you can use the sale days to your advantage, whereas other basic items that people pick are more desirable. Sale days you might not be able to wait for because they're gone. So let me stop sharing my screen. Hopefully this has been helpful to everyone. I'm going to jump to the chat real quick. Ronnie said, younger business like the one just out of college buy mall brands. Most are current styles like 2-button, dual vents, flat front, no cuffs, pants. That's great information, Ronnie. I really appreciate you sharing those tips there. Oh, Seville Row, yeah, Krillin, that's a great one. So Krillin is putting the super chat there for $2. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. But he just said, don't forget about Seville Row. He is better than Brioni. I have never found suits in that. I have found dress shirts, and the dress shirts haven't done that well for me that I've picked up. But I have not found them in suits or blazers. I wish that I had. Ronnie said it's less $14.99 here, and the savers are anywhere from $9.99 to $24.99. That's not too bad. I mean, it's still brutal, but I guess if you just stick to the really high-end stuff, Ronnie, you can find good stuff. All right, guys. Well, I really just wanted to bring this video. I had a ton of viewers over the last, pretty much since I put out that suit tutorial, asked for kind of a follow-up video, and I felt bad taking so long getting to you. I figured Friday night was a good time. I've been listening all night. I was like, I need a break. I'm going to go sit down and do a video and bring this to you guys. So I hope that this was helpful to you. Golden Mike Podcast said, can you make a video about sales tax on eBay? Kind of confuses me. I'm going to have to say no, and the only reason is sales tax is state by state dependent. I can talk at a high level about it, but really the best thing you can do is work with an accountant to make sure you have yours set up well. I can refer you to the site called TaxJar, which will link up with your PayPal account. I know a lot of resellers use that, and it pretty much calculates and does it all for you and keeps track of all the county rates. So I would really recommend you check out TaxJar. That might help you. But yeah, I'm going to leave that one there. I'm just not an expert in it, and I want to be careful not to give bad advice. No problem, Aaron. Really appreciate everyone stopping in. Hit that like button for me if you guys don't mind. On the way out, we got 62 watching live. Oh, look up Anderson Shepherd. Hold on. We're going to look this up on the spot here. Ronnie's dropping some knowledge right now. Anderson Shepherd suit. Let me share my screen real quick. Oh, wow, Ronnie. I guess I see why it's one of your favorite brands. Hold on. We're going to share one more time. We'll give a bonus brand right here. I need to go on sold listings here. Wow. Okay, yeah, I can see why you like those. So Anderson Shepherd, I want to see this tag. I've never seen this before. So Ronnie, do you find these at estate sales a lot? I see vintage is some of the keywords. Anderson Shepherd, Seville Row. Okay, so it's within the Seville Row line. Gotcha. Now, Ronnie, can you clarify for me, is Seville Row a brand, or is it kind of like a Loro Piana in Krillin maybe? Is it more like a Loro Piana like fabric line that partners with other brands? I'm going to stop sharing here and jump over to the chat. It is Seville Row. Okay, cool. That's good to know. So are there different lines within the Seville Row or Saville Row? I don't know if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but are there different lines? Like is Anderson Shepherd just a line within it? I'm assuming that's the case. I'm aware that it's a street. Thank you, Krillin. I knew it was a street. I was just saying, as a brand, like Brooks Brothers has a bunch of lines within it, right? Madison, all those things. This is Seville Row, like the brand, or is it the suit? Like, okay, so it's the suit maker. Got it. All right. So see, even I'm learning. That's why I like YouTube, because I can learn from you guys. So I appreciate that. Joshua was just saying that. So I've been asking Joshua. He had sent me some messages on Instagram about thank you stickers. He just started using them. Wasn't sure if they work or not, and saying they're working great. And he's gotten a lot of good feedback and quicker feedback, positive feedback on his account using them. So that's awesome. Let's see. There's no brand Seville Row. Okay, gotcha. So that's like the collaboration between them. I get it. Ronnie says easy 5 to 7K new. Holy crap. That's absurd. I can't even imagine. I own my first suit ever now. Like own that fits me and is tailored because of the wedding I was in this last weekend. He had all the groomsmen buy our own suits. And it's just like it's nothing like super fancy, something from JCPenney's, but looks really sharp and got it tailored. And I was like, oh, I get why people like tailored suits. This is pretty sweet. I can't imagine paying that much money for that though. I mean, we spent a couple $100. Oh, Jeeves and Hawk. Yeah. Jeeves and Hawk is one I've found a bunch. Okay, so that now I'm connecting it. So Kellen's saying that Seville Row, Jeeves and Hawk is one. And all these different brands that are made through that suit maker, basically, right? That partner with them. All right, guys, I am going to call it a night. All right, Krillen said, remember, most of those suits are bespoke. And I'm going to ask right now, so bespoke meaning custom made, right? Is that the term there? And I actually have to Google it because I just want to make sure I'm not misspeaking. Pretty much, I'm pretty sure that means it's custom. Yeah, made to order. Exactly. All right. Yeah, and the tip there from Krillin is that if they're made to order, they're bespoke, right? Then you need to make sure that you're listing your measurements and making sure you're. And a lot of times, I've been burned on, and I don't know if Ronnie or Krillin or anyone else has been burned on this, is when someone's one arm is shorter than the other and it's tailored perfectly. That sometimes one's 24 inches and one's 23 inches. And I had a return. I've had one return because of that. I got burned. I only measured one sleeve and listed it as both. And it was no good. All right, so Krillin again is correcting me. So there's no partnerships, like I keep saying, that they're just suit makers. Gotcha. Yeah, me too. Ryan saying he loves clothing talk. Yeah, I just love learning about clothing. I mean, there's so many nuances to how it's tailored, how it's made, the brands, how the brand's developed, where it's made from. Like, it's a really cool topic, and there's a lot of cool history and a lot of just always stuff that's changing with it. So it's pretty neat. Well, I appreciate you guys stopping in and dropping some knowledge. Hopefully this is helpful to other people. I'm pretty exhausted. It's been a really long week. I just haven't recovered from this wedding this last weekend. And we drove so many hours and got right back to work, and now I'm just kind of catching up. So I'm going to sleep in tomorrow. I'm going to thrift a lot. I'm going to list a lot. I'm trying to list 75 items this weekend. So just kind of keep charging forward and gain that momentum. So appreciate everyone stopping in. If you don't mind, hit that like button for me. Feel free to leave comments below. I do answer them all. And in Krillin, I'm going to Google and research Seville Row designers after this because I'm very, very curious. May have a follow-up video to it. And otherwise, I'll be back to you guys this weekend. I'll probably have a video, a vlog out again tomorrow. I'll get back to my normal vlog routine, and then we'll have a show on Sunday for sure. Have an awesome weekend, guys. Thanks for stopping in, and I hope that your sales are killing it to end August here.